Singapore. Famous for being one of the smallest, but one of the most beautiful countries in the world. It's really clean, it's super organized, it's just a fantastic place to be, and let's be honest, extremely expensive. I just spent the last 4 days in Singapore and I was with my girlfriend and I documented every single dollar that I spent. I was tracking my hotels, the hawker food, the football tickets and all of the activities that I got up to, all of the big expensive dinners, even just bottles of water and snacks from 7-Eleven. All of these things helped aid my wallet to cry. So here's a full breakdown of how much I spent in Singapore. It was a fantastic trip, but I think this will basically open your eyes to how much you should expect to spend if you do come to Singapore. And at the end, I will give you the full amount in different currencies because during the video, we'll be keeping track in Singapore dollars. So we flew in from Bangkok to Singapore with Jetstar Airlines, which have actually gone bust now. Well, the Asia version of Jetstar anyway. I think it's still operating in Australia. Yeah, we paid $100 each. Now, it was already quite late when we arrived in Singapore, so we couldn't check out the Jewel, which is one of the most amazing places in Singapore at the airport itself. But I've been there in a previous video and I'll link it below if you want to check it out because it is a fantastic way to kill a few hours if you're waiting for your flight or if you're just landing and you want to see something really cool straight away. We were quite lucky because my fiance has a friend who lives in Singapore. He's a local there called Alex and he kindly came to the airport to pick us up. So we got a free transfer to our hotel. And then we checked into the Clan Hotel. This is a 5-star hotel and we spent 3 nights here and the bill was 1,221 Singapore dollars. Of course, you can find a much cheaper place and quite easily a much more expensive hotel as well. We chose the Clan because it had great reviews. It was very central to where we wanted to be going because we like walking distance as much as we can. And yeah, just a great location and it had fantastic reviews, but there was a few problems when we arrived. The hotel was fully booked and we were thrown into an accessible room, a room basically built for people in wheelchairs or who have accessibility problems, elderly people, that kind of thing. Now, there's nothing wrong with accessibility rooms for people who need it, but we didn't book that room. We booked a much nicer, bigger room. In these rooms, you typically get strange layouts, smaller beds, and things that are really important for people who need accessibility. But for us, we paid an arm and a leg to stay here. We were hoping to get the room that we asked for. We did go to the front desk and we asked if we could change rooms. They said in the morning we could maybe ask again because the hotel was fully booked. There was no other room we could go in. So we just went to bed, had an early night, and that was that. Now, our hotel didn't come with breakfast because it was even more expensive if we wanted to have breakfast. And we always think if you're staying in a 5-star hotel, breakfasts tend to be meh. So we were like, we'll probably find delicious, even better food from half the price within walking distance. And that's what we attempted to do straight away. We found this little beautiful French cafe on the corner just around the street from the hotel. And for $26, we grabbed a couple of coffees, a croissant, and that was it. Because all of the main breakfast dishes, like the poached eggs on omelettes and things like that, were ridiculously expensive and we knew we could find better food somewhere else. It was boiling hot today, so we decided to go back to the hotel and just explore and see some of the other facilities in the hotel and also ask about if we could change rooms. And thankfully, we were able to move into a different room, the room that we booked, a larger bed, a larger room, and just a better feel, a better place, and we were much happier in that room. We had a great view, and well, this was the room that we paid for, so we decided to relax and chill. We're happy now. Proper bathroom, bigger bed.
Much bigger.
This room is a better room. It was at this point that I realized that even though we had great connection and fast internet in the hotel, I'd forgotten to pre-buy an eSIM for this trip. And I was gonna be here for 4 days and we're gonna be using taxis and using maps and just navigating the city. I needed some data and I was stupid. I'd forgotten to get an eSIM, but it's okay because I just opened up the Airalo app and got one straight away. Now, one of the easiest ways to blow your travel budget is by just switching on data roaming because you forgot your eSIM. And now you've got the data roaming charge bill when you get home. And trust me, Singapore is not the kind of country that you want to go to and get charged for data roaming. It's already expensive here. I've been promoting Airalo for a long time because I've been using them for 2 years now. They're fantastic. But they've just told me about one of their amazing new promotions, this new eSIM. So it's called the Discovery Plus eSIM. from Airalo, and it is fantastic. It's basically one eSIM that you install just one time and it lasts a whole year. You'll get calls, text messages, and data without having to change your number in over 137 different countries. So no swapping your eSIMs at the airport, no giving someone your passport, no airport queues, none of that faff. Just download one eSIM and it will last you a full year in 137 countries. This is a game changer. So remove the stress of data roaming charges, remove the stress of having to download multiple eSIMs for multiple trips. Just get the Discovery Plus Airalo eSIM today, and if you use code PADDY3 at checkout, you'll even get $3 off, which is such a great deal. Thank you to Airalo for sponsoring this section of the video. So once we'd sorted out the eSIM and relaxed a bit at the room, we then went out for lunch, and luckily there was a great local market just down the road. Lau Pa Sat is the local hawker centre here in the middle of the city, and it acts as a hub of cheap, delicious street food. And with its English charm and its fans and its sheltered roof, it's not only offering delicious, affordable food, but much needed shade and shelter from the rain, or in today's weather, the scorching hot sun. You can find meals here for less than $2. It's absolutely insane. But we found this yummy selection with drinks for $18 all in. A great bargain. Then it was time to jump on the MRT. Miss P wanted to visit an ice cream museum, and it was quite far away, so it was just cheaper to use the public transport. And when we finally got there, we were boiling hot, nearly melting. However, the tickets were crazy expensive, and the whole place just felt a bit weird. So, in short, we decided to bail on the ice cream museum. Bye-bye, museum. And not far away was a beautiful botanical garden, and it was free to enter. And to be fair, two cool things happened here. The first was we enjoyed a bit of nature together, and the second thing was we got engaged. I mentioned this in a previous video, but yeah, it was a great moment for both of us, and thankfully she said yes, which was great, and now we were both on cloud 9. After the park, me and Miss P took a taxi back to the hotel. We just wanted to shower and chill out and do our thing, and I actually nipped out to the local pub not far away and had a few beers with my mates. Drinks here are not cheap. 2 pints of lager cost me $36. But it was soon time to meet up with my now fiance because we had some dinner plans.
So that event with the Newcastle fans was amazing, but I must dash back, meet the missus, future missus, because we're going to have dinner with her and Alex.
Alex recommended a great Italian restaurant, and we went in and we sat down, and the food was okay. It wasn't like fantastic or anything, but when the bill came, we decided to take care of the bill because he'd come all the way to pick us up from the airport and gone back to pick up Pitchy's phone because she left it in the toilet, bless her. So he went back and forth to the airport twice. The least we could do to say thank you and to see him again was to pay for dinner, and it weren't cheap. 246 Singapore dollars for an Italian dinner for 3 people. I had a couple of beers. They don't even drink. Very expensive for what it was, but this is Singapore. If you're going to go to a nice restaurant, get ready to bring your wallet. So that was the end of day 1, and so far we have spent quite a bit of change on getting there, our 3 nights at the hotel, going and exploring, a few beers, a few travel mistakes, and an eSIM, and of course an expensive dinner. Let's try and save some money the next day. Once again with a nice lie-in at the hotel, and then we went to the market that we had lunch at the previous day to go find breakfast, and for $17 we found a delicious local breakfast, and we were both really happy with this meal. And then we did our usual, which was exploring around Singapore, seeing some of the sights on foot, and we jumped on a few of the MRTs. We didn't spend too much money on the subways because it's very cheap, and most of the time we were just exploring on foot, but I did spend $7 on a few snacks during the day, as you would expect, walking and exploring such a hot country as Singapore. That night we went back to the market down the road from our hotel. We love it there, and we had a great dinner, this time for $32. Delicious food for an affordable price. One of the reasons why we wanted to stay in this area is because we knew that this market has a great selection, loads of different options, and it's very affordable. For Singapore standards, that is. Now day 3, I woke up feeling sick as a dog. I didn't know it at the time, but I had bronchitis. As you can probably hear, I still have some of it remaining in my lungs. So I just was wiped out, and Pitchy went out and explored with her friends, and I just stayed in bed, dying a slow death. thankfully, had this beautiful hotel room to just recover in and relax. Now, I'd love to have stayed in bed all day, but this was the reason we flew to Singapore. I was here for the Festival of Football. We had 2 tickets to see Newcastle versus Arsenal, and it was at the big stadium, and this was the whole reason we were in Singapore. The only reason we came here was to explore, have some fun, and get engaged, and also go to the football. Now, I paid, let me just remind myself, because it was a depressing moment when I realized I paid 408 Singapore dollars for 2 tickets to watch the match, and I pre-bought them online when they first came out, and they were expensive. And this was the official ticket. That's how much they were charging for a friendly, pre-season friendly football game. I also had a few beers during the game. We had some food at the stadium, which wasn't very good. And yeah, we spent $50 on that, and then another $3 getting back on the MRT, which was absolutely packed. Had a nice shower, went to bed early. It had been a fun, alcohol, beer-fueled day out with the lads and my fiance now, watching the football for about $500 all in. What a crazy thing to say. Once we got back to the hotel that evening, we got hungry again because the fish and chips at the stadium were rubbish and it didn't fill us up at all. Luckily, back at the market, the trusty market, in the evening they have the satay street, the street food store that has multiple places cooking delicious chicken satay on coals, spicy, smoky, absolutely delicious, a gorgeous peanut sauce on the side, add a few more drinks, it was another $35 on top. For simply hanging around and then going to a football match, this had been an incredibly expensive day here in Singapore. On the morning of day 4, it was time to leave Singapore. We had different flights going into different countries. I was off to Vietnam to see my friend Dave, and Pitchy was going back to Thailand to then catch a flight to the UK because she was going to go do her solo trip. So we said goodbye to each other in the morning, and I took the MRT to the airport. Getting the MRT was relatively cheap, but then at the airport itself, I decided to get a coffee, and it was $9 for a latte. And then I was hungry, and the airline I was flying with wasn't going to feed me. So I decided to have one last meal. It was Shake Shack, good old Shake Shack in Singapore airport at the Jewel, and that was $24. So let's see, how much did we spend? What was the grand total for a short 4-day trip to Singapore? Obviously, before I tell you this amount, you can save money by not staying in a fancy hotel, but I could have spent double, triple, quadruple that quite easily. Singapore has a lot of options for high-end hotels, but it also has lots of options for cheap hostels and places like that. But we were coming here for the football, and I had a little secret in my pocket, which you saw. I was going to, propose here, so I wanted it to be memorable, and it was a nice holiday for us both. So I spent a bit more than I normally would when I'm traveling, to be honest, quite a lot more. So the total amount in Singapore dollars was 2,484 Singapore dollars, which in US is 1,838 US dollars. There's also a few other breakdowns here in case you're wondering. Now, of course, every trip is subjective to so many different things, different people, different travel styles. But I'll be honest with you, this trip involved one activity, one hotel, and a few little meals here and there, one nice dinner. The rest of the time we were just eating cheap at the market, eating cheap at the convenience stores, getting snacks and waters. And that's how much money we spent in 4 days in Southeast Asia. Just up the road is Malaysia. An hour flight in any direction, you're in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, or Indonesia, where things are so cheap. But here in Singapore, it ain't cheap. That does include flights, so it could be cheaper if you're already in Singapore. It could be way more expensive if you're flying all the way here from Europe or America. Obviously, I just decided to give you a rough idea of how much we spent. I hope it was interesting. It was cool to share a little bit of our trip and what we got up to. Make sure to check out Aerolo and their one eSIM fits all package, their new promotion, which looks fantastic. Thanks again to Aerolo for sponsoring the video. If you found it useful, hit like, subscribe to the channel, check out the eSIM below, get the best deal possible, and don't make the same mistake that I did and forget. Get it sorted before you go so you can just toggle it on and get the data and minutes and calls you need the second you land. All right. I'm going to keep recovering from this bronchitis and start making some travel plans because I don't know where I'm going to go next. But if you subscribe right now, you'll find out very soon on this channel.